Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to be talking to you here. And we have today Gregory Stevens from TechBridge. He's going to be speaking with us. And he's an American investor. Also, he owns TechBridge, which is a company that finds opportunities in other places, and he connects those opportunities, those investments from the United States to other places. And Greg, first, thank you so much for being here, for talking to our people.
Yeah.
So could you explain a little bit more what TechBridge is, what you do, and why you're here in Brazil?
Sure, yeah. I think it's important to talk about the genesis. For many years, I ran the International Trade Center at the Chicagoland Chamber of Commerce. And so during that time period, I, of course, did a lot of business in Brazil, especially the emerging world. So we saw a large opportunity to internationalize companies in both directions, not only from the United States into emerging economies, but also from emerging economies like Brazil, Colombia, most of South America, into the U.S. The reason being because of the common consumption of technology products. So at this point, it doesn't really matter if something is created in Brazil or in Colombia. It probably has a natural market in the U.S., and it also has an opportunity to come into the U.S. So the idea is, of course, to give them access to capital, to mentors, and also, of course, to market access that they would need to do market entry and soft landing at different incubators and accelerators, specifically in Chicago, but not necessarily limited to Chicago. Yeah.
So, how do you see the opportunity here in Brazil for people, for Brazilians, to invest in early stage companies?
Yeah, so I think it's really important to note that there are a lot of companies that are at seed stage right now that have very good ideas, that were good go-to-market strategies. So I think it's the most important thing would be to really sort of educate people that there is this great opportunity here, and that it's probably a safer investment than some other things you're going to do, because the barriers to entry are a lot lower. An investment here that's going to be in the 200,000 real area is going to go into a company to get you a decent equity stake, and if you spread that out over 10 investments, the rule of science is basically going to say that at least 2 of those companies are going to do pretty well, 5 of them are going to return capital, and 3 of them are not going to work out. So it's good, because instead of putting a whole lot of money into one business and hoping and praying that it works out, you're really diversifying your risk. So that's really, I think, the opportunity right now, is that there's a lot of startups, there's a lot of companies that have good ideas, there's teams that have good technical talent, good, decent-sized manageable skills, management skills, I should say, but they need some seed stage capital, and so the time is probably right to enter the market as a seed stage investor.
How much do you think one investor must have to start investing in startups here?
That's a good question. It really depends on what your risk tolerance is. Yeah, if you can do 2 things. Number one, if you can come in with probably, I would say, as little as 50,000 reais, that will be able to allow you to get a small stake in a company and to get them to a certain area, be it use it for marketing or for using a developer or something else like that. Excuse me. Or another idea would be to form an angel group, which is usually good. You don't want the group to be too large, because then, sometimes that can be paralyzing. But, even somebody that has a group of friends that only have maybe 50,000 to 100,000 reais to invest, they can form an angel group, which we've seen work in Chicago, and they can make investments as limited partners together in conglomerate. Yeah.
If you were to start here, like let's say that you don't know anything about startups, you have no idea where to start,
Sure.
But you have the money, you are already successful in other business,
Sure.
and you are interested in starting investing or looking for opportunities here,
Yeah.
Where would you look? What would you do?
Yeah, I would really say this. I think you really want to find somebody that knows the market, that is a connector in the marketplace, someone that has access to deal flow, right? Because it may be that you really know your own business, you know your own area. So let's say, for an example, you're someone that's made some money in agribusiness, right? And you say, okay, I like agribusiness, but I want to diversify and get in on this tech because there's multiples that I can get. I can get a lot better investment for my money. You're probably going to want to go in with a group. You're going to find somebody or a group of people that really knows the technology marketplace and say, okay, here's the money that I have. I definitely want to have a say in the way the investments go. I want to be a partner, a limited partner. But I know this is your area of expertise, and so I want you guys to be able to bring me deal flow. And so really you want to outsource finding the deal flow to people that know the market, know the early stage people, so they can say, oh, well, this person is starting this company, they've got a pretty good background, they've got good technical knowledge, because that way you're reducing your risk, right? Because you may be an expert in agribusiness, but you might not be an expert in technology business. And so you want to find people that are already doing that, and you want to make investments in consortium with them.
Right now, here in Brazil, we are passing through a crisis, economical crisis,
Sure.
political crisis.
Sure.
Is this the right time to invest?
Yes, the answer is yes. I think if you look at the blueprint for the history of the U.S., and everybody that's a big investor will tell you this, there's the most opportunity in crisis. And I would like to say this, yeah, definitely there is a crisis going on here, but when you look outside of the building that I'm in right now, there's at least 8 high-rises being built, which is a symptom of a society that continues on. The Carrefour is full of people. Right now, people are still out buying stuff. And so I would say that that's even better than the economic crisis that happened in the U.S. One thing that I'm constantly impressed by doing business here in 8 years is Brazilians' ability to continue to live good lives, to be happy, and to continue to function during economic and political crises. And so, yeah, I mean, this is the time. Also, you're seeing, if I can speak directly como estrangeiro, I know I'm not allowed to have an opinion, but I'm going to say it anyways, is that you have a rule of law is prevailing. People are being prosecuted that were causing problems. And so that's going to result in, I think, more consumer and investor confidence in Brazil, because the folks that were necessarily causing issues, now they have to be a little bit more worried about getting into trouble. So now is the time to invest, because you're going to see, and what you are seeing is the same thing you saw in the United States in the last 8 years. People know, I'm 32 years old, people know that they couldn't rely on someone to give them a job. They had to make a job. That's the way that you get ahead. That's the way that you really get ahead in life. And so you're seeing entrepreneurship become a serious lifestyle here in Brazil. So because of all of those factors coming together, and also the fact that this is a great natural market versus, say, what's happening in China or Europe, and Africa is going to need 30 years to develop. Also taking into account the fact that North America, I should say, is going to be 1/3 Latino, I just don't see any way in which our two hemispheres, North and South America, don't become married. So I would say that for anybody that's looking to invest right now is probably the time, because you're going to find the best deals. You'll be in early, and then when things start to rise, which they will, because of the onset of entrepreneurship here and the change in people desiring to be entrepreneurs, you're going to see a lot more value for your money, a lot more return.
We see some people coming and asking, hey, I want to invest, but I'm afraid. And one thing that people ask me a lot is like, I could invest in real estate, I could invest in stock market, I already do those investments. So why should I take the risk and invest in early stage companies?
Yeah, that's also a good question. I mean, personally, I would argue that if you look at stock markets around the world from their inception look up the tulip crisis. If you like history, that was a crisis that happened in Amsterdam when they first had the stock markets and created a huge crash. The stock market is good, but the stock market is very difficult for the average person to make money in, because at some point there's going to be a correction. And as we say in the U.S., you're going to take a bath. And I think that right now, when you consider the fact that Brazilians have 170 million mobile devices and growing, 2.1 phones to each and every Brazilian, and the fact that a large portion of the population is under 25 years old, you consider all of those things, and it's sort of hard to deny that technology and technology entrepreneurship and companies that are serving e-commerce, mobile, any of those things are going to be very good investments. So I would say that it is probably less risky to make several investments in the technology area than to make one investment in, say, an agribusiness, or to put your money into the stock market. I would argue and also you're likely to have more of a return, because, again, if you're putting money in 10 companies, 2 of those are going to make a lot of money, 5 of them are going to return capital, and 3 are not going to work out. Whereas if you put your money in stocks, you're really at the mercy of the world economy and whatever decisions are made by the local business.
Got it.
Yeah.
So, Greg, where people can go if they want to read more about TechBridge?
Oh, sure. Yeah, so it's www.techbridge.us. You can also Google us. We've been in several publications. We've been in Dino, which is in Colombian a very prestigious Colombian business publication, different areas in Brazil as well, and then of course the United States. And visit the website, generally speak about us, what we're doing. And then of course, to be reached by email, which is of course on the site, which is info@techbridge.us.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So, Greg, again, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. Yeah. It was a very good conversation.
É a próxima vez só português parceiro.
Ah, ok. Tá ótimo, então.
Okay.
Obrigado.
Obrigado a você. Tchau. Tchau.